If you are over 60 and you have noticed changes in your memory, concentration, or mental sharpness, there's a quiet fear that most people never say out loud. You start wondering if this is just aging or if something inside your brain is slowly breaking down. You forget names you know well. You lose words mid-sentence. You walk into a room and forget why you are there. You feel mentally slower, less confident, less clear. And almost every time you bring this up, you hear the same answer. This is normal. This happens to everyone. Accept it. But there is a critical question almost no one asks. What if part of what is happening is not aging at all? What if something you were prescribed to help you is quietly interfering with your memory every single day? Millions of seniors in the United States are taking medications exactly as prescribed. For blood pressure, for anxiety, for sleep, for bladder control, for allergies, for blood sugar. These medications are often given with good intentions and many are necessary. But what most people are never told is that some of the most commonly prescribed drugs after 60 have a direct effect on memory, attention, and long-term brain function. The most dangerous part is not that these medications exist. It is how quietly the damage happens. Memory does not disappear overnight. It fades in pieces. First, it feels like distraction. Then it becomes difficulty concentrating. Then trouble finding words. Then mental fatigue under stress. Because this progression is slow, people almost never connect it to medication. They blame themselves. They blame age. They blame stress. Meanwhile, the real cause continues day after day. Your brain is one of the most energy-demanding organs in your body. It requires constant blood flow, stable chemistry, proper neurotransmitters, and adequate nutrients to function well. Many medications interfere with one or more of these systems. Some reduce blood flow to the brain. Some alter neurotransmitter signaling. Some deplete nutrients the brain needs to stay sharp. Over time, the cumulative effect becomes impossible to ignore. One of the most common and least discussed categories are medications with anticholinergic effects. These drugs block acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter essential for memory, learning, and attention. Acetylcholine is literally one of the main chemicals your brain uses to form and retrieve memories. When it is blocked repeatedly, memory suffers. Many sleep aids, bladder medications, allergy drugs, and even some antidepressants fall into this category. Most people take them for years without ever being told how they affect the brain. Another major group includes anxiety medications and sedatives. These drugs calm the nervous system, which can feel helpful in the short term. But they also slow brain processing. Over time, many seniors describe feeling mentally dulled, disconnected, or less sharp. They are not confused enough to raise alarms, but they are not themselves anymore either. That in-between state is where medication-related cognitive decline often lives. Blood pressure medications and heart drugs can also play a role, especially when they lower pressure too aggressively. The brain sits at the top of the body and depends on adequate blood flow. As we age, the brain often needs slightly higher pressure to maintain proper perfusion. When blood flow drops too low, memory, focus, and clarity suffer. This does not usually cause immediate damage, but chronic low perfusion slowly erodes cognitive function. Now here is something almost no one explains clearly. Many medications prescribed after 60 also deplete critical nutrients the brain depends on. One of the most important is vitamin B12. B12 supports nerve signaling, brain energy metabolism, and neurotransmitter balance. Long-term use of medications for blood sugar, stomach acid, and heart conditions can quietly drain B12 levels over time. When B12 drops, memory drops with it. This creates a dangerous situation. A person starts a medication. Months or years later, memory problems appear. Blood tests come back normal. Doctors say everything looks fine. The person is told this is aging. Meanwhile, the medication continues interfering with brain chemistry and nutrient availability. This does not mean medications are bad. It means they have trade-offs. And after 60, those trade-offs matter far more than they did earlier in life. The aging brain has less reserve. It is less forgiving. Small disruptions that would not matter at 40 can create real problems at 70. One of the most harmful beliefs is that memory loss is inevitable and untouchable. In reality, many memory problems in older adults are influenced by modifiable factors: medication load, nutrient depletion, poor sleep, reduced blood flow, chronic stress. When these factors stack up, the brain struggles. When they are addressed, the brain often responds better than people expect. At this point, pause and reflect honestly. Have you noticed changes in your memory since starting a medication? Have you felt less sharp, less confident, or more mentally tired than you used to be? If so, that observation matters. It is not weakness. It is information. If this already sounds different from what you normally hear, that is intentional. This channel exists to explain what is actually happening inside the aging brain, not just repeat comforting phrases. If you want to understand how to protect your memory and mental clarity after 60, subscribe now, because this is only the beginning. Before we continue, comment your age and whether memory changes worry you. Your comment helps others feel less alone and helps this information reach the people who need it most. Now that you understand how medications can quietly interfere with memory, we need to go deeper into what is actually happening inside the brain over time, because this is where most people finally realize that what they are feeling is not imagined and not inevitable. The brain is not a static organ. It is dynamic, constantly adapting, communicating, and repairing itself. Memory, focus, and clarity depend on thousands of chemical and electrical signals working together every second. When medications interfere with even a few of these systems consistently, the effects slowly accumulate. One of the most important things to understand is that medication-related memory decline rarely looks dramatic at first. It does not usually start with severe confusion or obvious dementia. It starts with subtle changes: slower thinking, trouble multitasking, difficulty following conversations, forgetting details that used to come easily. Many seniors describe it as feeling mentally tired all the time, even when they are not physically exhausted. This mental fatigue is one of the earliest signs that the brain is struggling to compensate. Another key factor is sleep. Many medications prescribed after 60 interfere with natural sleep architecture, even if they help you fall asleep faster. The brain needs deep and uninterrupted sleep to consolidate memories and clear metabolic waste. When sleep becomes shallow or fragmented, memory formation suffers. Over time, this leads to poor recall, slower learning, and reduced mental flexibility. Seniors often wake up feeling unrested without realizing their medication may be contributing to the problem. We also need to talk about cumulative effects, because this is where things become especially dangerous. One medication alone may not cause noticeable memory problems, but many seniors are taking multiple medications at the same time. Each one may slightly reduce attention, blood flow, neurotransmitter activity, or nutrient absorption. Together, they create a cognitive burden the brain struggles to overcome. This is sometimes referred to as medication load, and its impact increases significantly with age. As the brain ages, its ability to compensate for stress decreases. This means that small disruptions that would not matter earlier in life can now produce noticeable symptoms. The brain has less reserve. It cannot adapt as easily. This is why medication effects on memory are far more common after 60, even when the same drugs were tolerated well at younger ages. Another critical and often ignored factor is blood flow to the brain. Certain medications lower blood pressure very effectively. While controlling blood pressure is important, excessively low pressure can reduce cerebral perfusion in older adults. The aging brain often requires slightly higher pressure to maintain adequate blood flow. When perfusion drops below what the brain needs, symptoms like dizziness, confusion, and memory problems appear. These symptoms are often dismissed as unrelated, but they are connected. Now let us return to nutrient depletion, because this is one of the most actionable aspects of this entire discussion. Many medications reduce the absorption or utilization of nutrients essential for brain health. Vitamin B12 plays a central role here. B12 is necessary for nerve signaling, myelin maintenance, and energy production in brain cells. When B12 is depleted, memory, focus, and processing speed decline. This is particularly dangerous because B12 deficiency often goes unnoticed for years. What makes this even more concerning is that standard blood tests often fail to identify functional B12 deficiency. Levels may appear normal while brain tissue is already undersupplied. This is why so many seniors are told their labs are fine while their memory continues to worsen. The test is not asking the right question. Now let us address a fear that many people have but rarely voice. Experiencing memory problems does not automatically mean you are developing dementia. This distinction is crucial. While dementia is real and serious, many memory issues in older adults are influenced by reversible or modifiable factors. Medication effects, sleep disruption, nutrient deficiencies, and reduced blood flow are among the most common contributors. Addressing these factors early can make a meaningful difference. This is why awareness matters so much. When people understand that memory decline is not always inevitable, they become proactive. They start paying attention to how they feel. They notice patterns. They ask better questions. They advocate for themselves. That shift alone can change outcomes. Now let us talk about what to do if this information resonates with you. The answer is not to stop medications on your own. That can be dangerous. The correct step is an informed medication review. Reviewing what you take, why you take it, and how it affects your daily function is one of the most powerful tools for protecting brain health after 60. This review should include evaluating necessity, dosage, interactions, and alternatives. It is also important to understand that care must be individualized. What works well for one person may not work well for another. Age, kidney function, liver function, brain sensitivity, and overall health all influence how medications affect cognition. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, but there is always room for evaluation. At this point, take a moment to reflect honestly. Have you ever felt mentally sharper before starting a medication? Have you noticed changes since then? That observation matters. Your experience matters. If this is connecting with you, comment below your age and whether memory or mental clarity is something you worry about. Your comment helps others feel less isolated and helps this information reach more people who need it. If you are finding value in this explanation, consider subscribing to the channel. This space exists to help seniors understand what is actually affecting their health beyond surface-level advice. And stay with me, because there is still a critical third part where we connect everything and talk about how to protect memory moving forward without fear or confusion. Now that you understand how medications can quietly affect memory and how factors like sleep, blood flow, and nutrient depletion amplify the problem, we need to talk about what protecting your memory actually looks like after 60. because this is where most people finally regain a sense of control. Protecting memory is not about panic. It is not about assuming the worst. It is about understanding how the brain ages and how to reduce unnecessary stress on it. One of the most important concepts to understand is that the brain responds to environment and support throughout life. Even in older age, the brain remains adaptable. This adaptability is called neuroplasticity. While it is slower than in youth, it does not disappear. What disappears is tolerance for neglect. When the brain is under constant chemical, metabolic, or circulatory stress, it loses flexibility. When that stress is reduced, function often stabilizes and sometimes improves. This is why reviewing medications matters so much. Many seniors assume that once a medication is prescribed, it must remain forever. In reality, many prescriptions are started during a specific phase of life and never reevaluated. Over time, the original benefit may diminish while side effects increase. This is not because anyone made a mistake. It is because the body changes. What was appropriate at 55 may not be appropriate at 75. A proper medication review is not about eliminating everything. It is about balance. It involves asking whether each medication is still necessary, whether the dose is still appropriate, and whether interactions may be creating unintended cognitive effects. Even small adjustments can reduce cognitive load on the brain. Another critical area is nutrient support. The aging brain has higher nutrient demands and lower absorption efficiency. Vitamin B12 remains one of the most important nutrients for protecting memory, nerve health, and mental clarity. When B12 is insufficient, the brain struggles to produce energy, maintain nerve insulation, and regulate neurotransmitters. Supporting B12 does not replace other care, but it removes a common and often overlooked barrier to brain health. Sleep also deserves special attention. Deep, restorative sleep is when the brain consolidates memories and clears waste products. Many seniors assume poor sleep is inevitable, but medication effects, timing, caffeine use, and routine all influence sleep quality. Improving sleep quality alone can significantly improve memory and mental clarity. Blood flow is another key factor. The brain requires steady circulation. Excessively low blood pressure, dehydration, or prolonged inactivity can reduce cerebral perfusion. This is especially relevant after 60, when the brain may need slightly higher pressure to maintain adequate flow. Feeling lightheaded, dizzy, or mentally foggy can be signs that circulation needs to be evaluated. Mental stimulation and engagement also play a role. Memory is not just about biology. It is about use. When people withdraw due to fear, fatigue, or low confidence, the brain receives less stimulation. This accelerates decline. When people remain mentally and socially engaged, the brain stays active. Even simple habits like conversation, reading, puzzles, or learning new skills support cognitive resilience. Now let us address a deeply important emotional issue. Many seniors feel ashamed or frightened by memory changes. They hide them. They avoid conversation. They fear being judged or losing independence. This emotional burden often worsens cognitive symptoms. Stress hormones interfere with memory formation and recall. Reducing fear and increasing understanding can itself improve mental performance. If you are experiencing memory changes, it does not mean you are failing. It means your brain is asking for support. Understanding that changes are not always irreversible can replace fear with curiosity and action. At this point, I want you to reflect on everything you have heard. Think about your medications. Think about your energy. Think about your sleep. Think about whether your mind feels as clear as it used to. These observations matter. They are data, not judgment. If this video helped you understand your memory concerns differently, take a moment to comment below with your age and whether memory clarity is something you want to protect more intentionally. Your comment helps others feel less alone and helps this information reach more people who need it. If you know someone over 60 who struggles with memory or mental clarity, share this video with them. Many people are suffering quietly, believing decline is inevitable. Information changes that belief. And finally, subscribe to the channel. This space exists to give you clear, honest explanations about aging, health, and independence that are rarely discussed openly. Protecting your memory is not about fighting age. It is about working with your body intelligently. You deserve clarity. You deserve confidence. And with the right understanding, you can protect your mind far longer than you were led to believe. Thank you for staying until the end.